Road Break family, greetings from Jean-Paul myself. Welcome to the Ring of Honor Final Battle review. A show that started a lot earlier than a regular pay-per-view. Tony Khan wanted to improvise, wanted to check if the audience will respond. A lot of people has been asking what's going on with Ring of Honor. Do they have a TV deal? Are they gonna be as legit as Tony Khan promised to be? This show kind of I feel that it was an attempt to do a good job. In some aspects, it was pretty enjoyable. In some others, always Paul mentions, there's matches that why they didn't in the car. There was a lot of matches, very typical of Tony Khan's booking. But I mean, in some matches, at least we enjoy really cool things like a brand new women's champion. The dog collar match was really cool. And in the end, the main event was at least somebody that should represent the brand won the match.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the main takeaway from this was the dog collar match. It was added, it was the last match added to the pay-per-view, yes. I believe. And it was the one that really everybody wanted to see. I mean, you have the fans of Chris Jericho, they maybe wanted to see his match. And Athena has her fans, Claudio, Samoa Joe, this and that. But, I mean, for the majority of the audience, whether you did want to see a Jericho or a Claudio or whoever, there's not a single person in there that wasn't going to say, no, I really want to see this, double dog collar match. I mean, this was, they almost said this is the third match, but one of the matches had 2 pinfalls. So it's, there's really 4 pinfalls. So we're going to talk about there, was there a tiebreaker or are they still tied? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But no, I mean, I thought overall, this was a 3-hour show, 8 matches. I thought it flowed pretty decent. A couple things, especially some of the matches early on that didn't really feature anybody that we kind of cared about or no titles, this and that. Maybe didn't get into it too much, like Blake Christian and Roosh and all them, which we're going to talk about. But some stuff, I learned about past feuds and, things that going on with Ring of Honor, which helped me, like some of these matches a little bit more, I would say. But yeah, no, we're going to get into it.
Absolutely, family. Thank you for being with us one more time. Don't forget to follow us in all the social media that we have right there for every single one of you. You're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy this as much as we are. So, Paul, like you said, this match started out, or the pay-per-view started out with the women's championship. Athena, like you said, a huge fandom. A lot of people love her. She's been getting a lot of wins in Elevation Dark. If you guys watch that, bless your heart, because we don't, we don't have the time. And also I don't think that a lot of people have enough time to watch this. But Athena is keep building a lot of good fandom in AEW and good matches, despite the new heelish character that she has. And Mercedes Martin is always a great competitor in the ring, so that was already a promise that it will be a good match. And in the end, that was Athena's hometown, so that was also cool. And Paul, did you enjoy the match? Because I did. Pretty to the point, pretty good, well done.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely hard hitting. This was one because with Athena's reputation, recently, really being stiff with people, and she came out and said, how come when the men are stiff, it's fine, but then when the women do it, they're being bullshit, this and that. Well, I mean, the men really aren't stiff. They just, some of them are, but I'm not going to get into it, but whatever. But it's one of the things where she had this big chip on her shoulder, this and that. So like you said, is she heel? Is she babyface? What's going on? I would say she is kind of heel, you would almost say, but Mercedes Martinez is, she gives off that heel vibe, even though she's a badass, no matter what, she kind of gives off that heel vibe. And in this match, I would say it almost switched to that, where this is Athena's hometown, so she's going to be babyface. I mean, they showed her parents in the crowd. You're not going to show a heel's parents, usually you don't, but I mean, they showed her, they showed her parents and everything. And I mean, it was all right. The only thing I really didn't like was, this is Ring of Honor. Everything's supposed to be legit. And then the only match I felt like they kind of kept legit and not even is the pure championship rules. But
yes,
I mean, this, Athena clearly rips off the turnbuckle pad, sends Mercedes Martinez into it. The ref doesn't do nothing.
She bites Mercedes Martinez right there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, so there's a lot of stuff in this match that kind of took me out of it. And I said, you know what? They're going to put the belt on Athena, and I really don't give a shit. And that's what they did, and that's how I felt. So
Eclipse, that's always a cool move when it's executed right. Mercedes did sell for her. Like you said, I mean, like again, the girl is like getting a lot of popularity, and that's what maybe would help her to, in AEW, maybe Rampage, going into like AEW, like the women for the women's championship with like Jamie Hayter. Although she's a heel, but at least like you're using the girl in something. Is a WWE talent. At least you're giving her opportunities that didn't even get in the main roster in WWE. So let's remember Amber Moon, Athena, like was an NXT Women's Champion. So at least for me, this actually made sense. Mercedes Martinez is great, but again, how often did she defend the title? And is she ever on TV on AEW? No, Rampage she's not. So I mean, Athena, we go like who's more popular, Athena's got gets the lead on that. So that was a good in the beginning of the match. Beginning of the pay-per-view, Shane Taylor and Joe Jeffrey going against Swerve and Aurora. This was cool and quick, just because, for example, going Taylor against Keith Lee, that was for me like the biggest thing. Two big masses, two big dudes going at each other. They just sold that as the main story right here. They who can be more hard hitting, who's going to be more flexible.
Yeah, I mean they had the past. They were supposed to challenge for the tag titles in Ring of Honor, Taylor and Keith Lee. And then they said, then all of a sudden Keith Lee goes, hey, I signed somewhere else, NXT. So they never got that opportunity. So, I mean, this was good.
There's a few.
So there's a lot of history there. You had some heat with Strickland. They came out. Keith Lee goes to fist bump. Strickland blows him off. And in this match, you had Strickland walked out on him. But Keith Lee, he overcame the odds. The big slam he does. 1, 2, 3 on not Taylor, but on the other guy, the skinnier guy.
Jeffrey.
And it was pretty good. Like you said, it wasn't too long, but none of these matches were really that long. Which that's what I said. I thought you had 8 matches, and I thought the flow. You had a tag match actually before the women's match with Blake Christian, AR Fox, Roosh, and somebody else in a mask.
Yes,
but
actually the finish of that match was botched. They said it was not.
The luchadors. The Luchadors won, Roosh and the other guy, but nobody gives a shit about any of the 4 of them. AR Fox isn't bad, but the other 4,
yes, AR Fox just debuted on AEW, went against Samoa Joe. Yeah, but this was cool, and Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, this match, I thought this was one of the matches on the card that had no title, nothing like that, but I thought this one was okay. Like out of all the non-title matches, this was a good one because at least it had that history, that story that you said, okay, is Keith Lee gonna get the win? But Strickland's turning on him. Maybe the heels are gonna get the win. You didn't really know. So this one was at least interesting for all of that. But I mean, the babyface, I would say babyface is, but just the singular babyface here, Keith Lee got the win.
Exactly, and they keep building on that. At some point they're going to have the match with Strickland, and maybe then he's going to be able to go for like a championship or have like a better rivalry. So that's good. I mean, something decent for Keith Lee. There's a lot of hopes in the beginning. Remember when he debuted? So now that they're actually doing something with him is actually nice to see. We have the Trios Championship of Ring of Honor, Downton Castle, and the Boss going against, Brian Cage, The Agony, all of these guys. This was also quick. I like that, and Brian Cage gets the win, with like it's called the Embassy, I believe. It's like the group call, and I mean, like Brian Cage, he needs a niche because in AEW, he debuted and everything. He was supposed to be champion. That didn't happen. Got in obscurity, became a part of the Taz's group and all of that. But again, there's never been a chance from Brian Cage to show what he's capable of. A lot of controversies with Melissa Santos, his wife, all of that. But at least here, he gets a title. How long is he going to keep it? I don't know, but at least, hey, he wins something. I think it's like, hey, dude, we're going to give you a bone here.
Yeah, and I mean, Dalton Castle, he's pretty good with the gimmick and everything. He plays it great. The boys, the one thing about with them being 6-man, champs or, trios, tag champs, whatever you want to call it, those 2 guys, they're not bad in the ring. And I love when they get thrown, they're screaming and stuff. It's funny. Yeah. But they're 2 nameless jobbers, essentially, to me. Maybe if I watched Ring of Honor, I'd be, oh, these guys are great. But to come out there, they're called the Boys. They had names and they were saying it during the match, but I didn't remember because I didn't care. Yes. At least on the other side, you had a manager, Prince Nana. You had Brian Cage. You had, what the heck? I can't think of the other 2 guys' names now.
The Gates of Agony is
the Gates of Agony. And, so there are at least 3 big monsters. So yeah, this match went how you thought it would. The 3 big monsters won, and I mean, yeah, it was what it was. Like I said, I had no this was just a random exhibition for me thrown together. I had no emotional investment in any of this, any of the teams, so it was all right. I'm glad it was quick.
Exactly. No, again, when they're quick, it doesn't bother as much. This one, you said that they kept it for the most part like pure into like the what is Ring of Honor, what it's supposed to be about. The pure championship. Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta, they went at it pretty stiff. I like that. And Yuta, like I think that maybe with the guidance of Baron Danielson, John Moxley, I think like he's getting more of an edge. He's more power, like when he hits, like he's more convincing and everything. Daniel Garcia also sold pretty well for him. Did you like this? I think it was for me. It was decent.
Again, I mean, I liked Garcia, and I thought this was kind of interesting because to me it didn't bend the rules, or maybe it bent them a little bit, but it didn't completely break the rules in this pure championship match where he would do a submission in the ropes. And 1, 2, yeah, you got to break it because he's in the ropes, and it used up Wheeler Yuta's rope breaks. So I thought that was a really smart thing that Wheeler Yuta didn't have any rope breaks to use. But the one thing I didn't like took me out of it. I mean, you had the steel cables that hold the ropes to the turnbuckle or to the ring post, and they were just grinding each other's face in that with their foot. Come on. That would be something, hey, I warn you, you do it again, you're disqualified. I mean, in the beginning of the match, not even 30 seconds in, they both threw a closed fist to the face. The ref says, hey, you throw one more of those and you're done.
Yes.
In 30 seconds, these guys, I'm sure that wasn't done intentionally. I'm sure that was done by accident, and they go, oh, man, and you know what? Back in the day, throwing a closed fist used to be a DQ in wrestling.
Yes.
That's why a lot of people did chops and slaps and stuff like that. But, these young guys, and in the beginning of the match, they throw the shitty forearms to each other's face, about 50 of them, and they don't sell a single one. Nobody's bleeding, nobody's bloody, nothing like that. You want to talk about, throwing hard shots? We'll talk about the dog collar match. They were bloody in the first 30 seconds.
Yes.
And man, it was great. So, this Wheeler Yuta gets the belt back. These are Tony Khan's, Lex Luger and Sting. And, these are his two guys who he thinks he can build his franchise around. I don't see it, and I didn't see it here. Maybe one day, but not now.
No, not now. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, like the feud is going to continue. So they're going to keep doing that. So like he gets the championship back. That's fine. So like let's talk about the one that you like the most, because like I said, put together towards the end, the Gun Boys, or like the kids from Billy Gunn, were the ones announcing to FTR at the end of Dynamite that they were going to be having this match for the Ring of Honor Championships, a double color match. This was just great. The rivalry is like a trilogy. Maybe they will have another one, but like this was just blood, but like it wasn't unnecessary. It called for it, and like they kept the wrestling also. It wasn't big, dives and all of that. They kept it wrestling, blood. Like it was a great story, and FTR and the Briscoes has a lot of chemistry. They do have a lot of chemistry together, and this match showed that. It was intensity, drama.
And the Briscoes were ranked. Well, FTR was ranked number 2 in all-time tag teams for the year, and the Briscoes were ranked number 3. And I love what Mark Briscoe said. He's like, man, imagine if we were actually on TV.
Yeah.
We're the number 3 ranked tag team in the world, and we're not even on TV.
Exactly.
We make like 2 pay-per-view appearances a year, like for Ring of Honor at least. Sometimes
pretty much, and GCW, but you gotta watch this GCW. So.
But I mean, no, they're great. FTR great. This was definitely the match of the night. You had Mark and Dax, and then you had Cash and Jay. And I mean, this was great. The spot where they had all the chairs on the floor, and you had Cash. He pulled his chain and whipped Jay right into the freaking into the big pile of chairs. I mean, that was great. And then
the ref got busted open too.
Yeah, the ref took a big bump. The only thing in the match was a little bit like was when you had Mark Briscoe lay into the ring, and Dax was up on the top rope, and he's trying to wrap the chain around his head, and he can't, and it keeps falling, and he's like eventually he just holds a bunch there, and he's like, fuck it, and just jumps and goes to do the headbutt. I mean, hey, I would say you got to count in your head 1, 2, 3. After 5 seconds, if you can't get it, man, do something else.
Just improvise.
Like,
I love the pile driver into the chair, with the blood and everything. So well done. Those are the stuff that like make you fall in love with wrestling one more time.
And the one thing, like when Jay took that big chair spot, I mean, man, he sold that for 5 minutes maybe.
Yes.
At least 3 minutes he was selling that, not moving. You had Cash. He goes in. Eventually, Mark gets a submission hold on Dax. Cash goes to try to save him, but Jay's back up strong enough. He's holding his dog collar, holding the chain to keep Cash from getting in the ring. And eventually the ref is looking and he calls it. Dax never tapped out, but he called it. Maybe he looked like he was passing out or this and that.
That's what it was.
I think they said Dax lost a tooth. I don't think it was that spot at the end, but I think at some point in the match he lost a tooth. I didn't see exactly where it was or anything. But, after the match, then you had the Briscoes, they celebrate, whatever, go to the back. And then typical Tony Khan booking, we saw it a couple times before this. You always got to have an afterbirth and aftermath. The Gun Club, they come out, they lay waste to FTR. Oh, we're the best team, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be, the new champs, this and that. The Briscoes come down, make the save. And I like that.
We get this, picture, the 4 guys, and then the ref all, thank you for a great match.
Yeah, raising their hands. And I love how Dax is like dead. He's laying there on the ground, but there's a microphone right next to him. And he's like, oh, blah, 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 gun boys, we're going to kick your ass, top guys out. But he's not holding the mic. He's literally laying like stomach first on the mat, just like talking into the microphone. It was a great visual. The dude is so beat up, but he's still talking shit.
Absolutely.
This was great. And like you said, the 4 of them, all with their hands raised. The Briscoes, new 13-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. But in their 3 matches, there was 4 pinfalls. The Briscoes have 2, and FTR have 2. So if you're going by matches, FTR is still over. If you're going by pinfalls, they're tied. So I think you got to have one more. And man, these guys could wrestle 100 times, and I think we'd enjoy.
And it will,
all of them.
Exactly. It's kind of that rivalry that like they keep amping the hype. They keep acting like they keep delivering better and better and better. So like we probably want more just to like say once is the once and for all. Whatever happens.
This is something where I don't know if it's their appearance, if it's things that they said in the past, which they have apologized for. Made donations to charities. I don't know what else you can do besides invent a time machine and go back and not say it. But, they've apologized, repented, everything. To me, man, if they're not going to get signed to AEW, I don't know what the hell Triple H is doing.
Oh, yeah.
I really
that would
don't.
be like, especially that, to sign a caliber tag team like that, it will completely switch the whole
because
tag team
who is
division.
One team in WWE right now, unless like a Brock Lesnar and John Cena team up, who's going to beat the Usos?
Yes, exactly.
The Briscoes. That's who's going to beat them.
You need a tag team like that, like you said, and so a team that everybody knows that is not WWE known to come back and beat the Usos, like you said. This is that calls for it. Absolutely. If Triple H is actually watching, watching the show, he says, I gotta sign these guys. Why not? Everything, like you said, they try to apologize for their past. That would be great. This one, Samoa Joe against Juice Robinson, this was just very quick, which I like. Like Juice Robinson, I don't know, he doesn't scream championship to me. He doesn't scream champion. Maybe in New Japan he might. But, Samoa Joe, a guy that like they're finally building according to what is Samoa Joe, according to his past, according to his accolades and everything. This was just quick, crossface. We got to see Juice getting a little bit of like offense on Samoa Joe, but in the end, the muscle buster. I'm glad that they let him use that move finally. The thing with Tyson Kidd and all of that, but at least, it was quick. He delivered that. He's still the champion. He had a double championship. So good stuff, at least for Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I enjoy this. Like they said, he's the TV champion.
Yes.
He's the Ring of Honor television champion, the TNT champion. Like you said, this was a good spot for this match because almost all the titles changed hands, if you think about it, except this one.
Yes.
Nobody expected this title to change hands, I don't think.
Absolutely.
So this was a good spot for the come down match, the let me up, as Vince McMahon calls it. But where it's a match where you're just emotionally drained and you just need something to just kind of
you just sit down and just let the match take its place.
You could just watch Samoa Joe beat up this guy, this and that, and you recover for the main event, which was Claudio and Jericho. But this wasn't bad, and I don't want to say, Samoa Joe was in the let me up match, because that isn't fair to Samoa Joe. He was in the second to last match. So that's good for him, but like you said, the one thing to take away is they're finally booking him strong. And I think Triple H would have as well. He did in NXT, man. He was the champ. He beat Karrion Kross. So you can't take anything away from the way Triple H used Samoa Joe. But it was just Vince McMahon and all those other guys. Yeah, so this was a good match, and it led us to the main event.
Absolutely, Paul. Ring of Honor Championship match. Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro for against El Ocho. I don't know why the fuck he uses El Ocho. I don't know. Is it Chavo del Ocho? I don't get it. Like he has to use like one word and then he has to just use the fuck out of it. I don't get it. And for me, Jericho, this whole thing is just, again, I've said it many times. I'm always gonna be a fan, but I'm not gonna be a fan of all of this because it doesn't call for it. I don't know what was the reasoning of him being the Ring of Honor Championship, but at least in the match, it was, decent at most, because again, Jericho, he's not the Jericho of like 25 years ago. Do we think he can still go? Maybe a little bit, but at least this was all about Cesaro Castagnoli, so that's good. I mean, he needed that big win. He should have never lost this title. I'm glad he got it back.
And this wasn't too bad either, or too long of a match as well. And I mean, maybe in his mind, I'm sure he really thought, hey, I can get a bunch of wins on TV, look like a big star, this and that. But maybe Jericho thought he was doing something good, getting some name recognition to the title. At least this was the first one-on-one rematch between these two. Claudio won, so that's good. It wasn't like he got beat 100 times before beating Jericho, because that would kind of maybe spoil it a little bit. Like, yeah, I beat you 7 times and you beat me 1 time. No, it wasn't anything like that. But, I mean, this was good. Of course, you saw Magic Mike and the fucking other guy come out. We saw them all throughout the show.
Yes.
And again, that's what kind of kills it, too, where it's, it's clearly AEW booked.
Yes.
But using the Ring of Honor banner and some of the Ring of Honor talent. But
Absolutely.
When you put all those AEW guys in there, it just kind of soils it. It's like putting too many ingredients in a good soup. You just make it taste like shit. But there was no shit here in this match, at least when it came to the winner. Some good stuff. Jericho,
and Paul, for the first time, somebody taps out to like the Cesaro swing. So that was
and what did you think of this? Because he hits him with the bat and he does the whole, let me fall to my back like Eddie Guerrero. And I know you always love when they have to bring up Eddie Guerrero in every wrestling show that ever takes place in the history of time and space. But I love how, at least on commentary, they didn't say his name. They're like, no, we're not going to say it because Jericho's bullshit. I'm thinking, good. And also, we're probably going to get heat for it, but we don't need to hear Eddie Guerrero's name on every
Paul,
show.
You always say that Ian Riccoboni, like, he's a great announcer, and he is. He's PA owned, so we love the guy also. So, absolutely, it's like Eddie Guerrero was a great wrestler, but is so overrated that you don't want to hear his name anymore. And this was just cool. I enjoy, again, something different, and, I mean, I enjoy more the winner. The ending, I would much rather maybe like a big move, like a neutralizer, like the European uppercut, something like that. Because here, him tapping out to the swing makes the swing so deadly when the swing is like kind of intended to be a move like to get you groggy for the big move, at least for me to set it up. But hey, at least he won. So that was like, you turn around for those 5 seconds and like, oh, we have a new champion. How? Oh, the swing. Okay.
You would think, or unless maybe something where, if he really would have been hammering on his head like 1, 2, 3 big European uppercuts and then swung him and my head's throbbing, it's dizzy. Now you're spinning me and my head's flying. Oh my God, my head feels like it's going to pop off. Now let me tap out. It was just kind of sets him up for the big swing. And of course, nothing is done very fast because, Jericho's old and slow and, they got to milk everything. So it takes so long to set up, and then it's, the big swing, and then he taps out. Like, he was swinging him for like 30 seconds and he tapped out. And like I said, it was just a weird ending, but I mean, it was a good one. It had the streamers. I like how they did the big celebration. Wheeler Yuta came out to celebrate with him. 2 members of the Blackpool Combat
Jerry Lynn
Club.
was right there too.
Jerry Lynn. So, I mean, hey, the title's back where it belongs. And again, this was a pretty decent show. I mean, little nitpicks here and there, but that's personally. I thought overall this was a decent showing for a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So I'm excited to see what they do for their next.
Hopefully they can get a TV deal. It's not there yet. Tony Khan said they have not closed anything yet. Hopefully it's coming up soon. But there you go. Right there's the pictures of all the champions. We have Athena in the women's, Castagnoli men's, Yuta pure champion, Samoa Joe television, Briscoes are like the tag team, and the trios is the Embassy with Brian Cage. Like you said, enjoyable show. Little nitpicking right in there, but like there's no perfect show. But at least in this one, Ring of Honor closes the year 2022 on a good note, and that's what we're gonna do also. So family, thank you so very much for being with us. There's more content coming your way. Don't forget the World Cup is still coming out to a close, and then will be more wrestling. We will do the awards. There will be the best moments of 2022. There's more content coming for you guys. Where they can find us, Paul, they're right there down there, but you can also mention them to everybody.
And guys, make sure you follow us, Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok, and of course right here on YouTube, the home. of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
And you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...